Yes, YouTube. How's it been going with yous then? It's been going not too bad here. As you've noticed, uploading a lot more videos, feeling a lot more positive at the minute. My last video was my first Tales with Civ. I hope you've enjoyed it. I liked recording it. I thought it was a funny story. So, today's video, I want to take you through another tale with me. And the topic for today's video, I want to talk about rubbish teachers I had during school. I probably will do another video on the good ones, but at the minute I just want to talk to you about the shit ones, because some of the stories I've had with them I think are funnier, and well, one of the stories I'd just like to tell you anyway, and just get that out there, because this is quite a crazy one. So, I suppose let's crack on with the story then. This story is set when I was about 10, I think. Yeah, about 10. It would have been the last day of year 5 when I was at school. The day was going all well. I'd got up. On the last day of school, you're allowed to take a toy in, because, well, I was 10. That's what 10-year-olds do, isn't it? So, I took this, like a Tamagotchi, but it was a Pikachu one. You had to shake it, you used to measure your steps, you used to play little games on it, and I loved it back when I was 10. God knows what happened to it, but it was cool. I loved it. So I was there playing away, enjoying my day with my mates, fucking about, not doing no work last day and all. First break come, I went out on my first break. I had a great first break. Played with my mates, as you do. Come back in after break, did some more playing. It was all good, having a great day. And then dinner time come. This is where things start to change. So I was happily playing away on the school field, and then some lads I know who had left that school and they were older than me come over. I was talking to them, as you do, all casually. Then one of them grabbed me, picked me up and slammed me on my head. It knocked me out. I was completely unconscious. The next thing I remember, I woke up being dragged by loads of people up the playground, like my feet dragging on the floor, my arms being dragged, like just woke up from being knocked out. Like, there's the first thing that's wrong. Surely you shouldn't have moved me. Should have left me there and got the teacher and then got me awake. So I woke up being dragged onto the playground, feeling like shit, head killing, not a clue where I was, didn't know what day of the week it was. I've passed out again, being dragged up the playground, I've gone again. Woke up, sat near in front of the toilets, because that was the entrance to the school. So I was sat near the toilets, come round, where am I? And the teacher there was, I don't normally mention names, but this is about the teachers. So the teacher there was Mr. MacDonald. He was my teacher at the time as well, for classes. And he was the first aider. So I've come round, where am I? He's like, that don't matter, are you okay? It's like, I don't know, where am I? It's like, it don't matter, just as long as you're okay. So, where am I? It's like, just tell me if you're alright. And I was like, look, tell me where the fuck I am. And he was like, if you're going to be like that, fuck you. And walked off. And left me there. So then I was sat there all anyhow, head killing, like the most pain you've ever had in your head. Teachers just told me to fuck me and walked off. Like, cheers youth. Some teaching that is. To a 10-year-old kid that's been knocked out. And I did not know where I was. To the point where I thought it was about half a year before. I didn't know it was the last day of school anymore. I couldn't remember half of the year. I thought it was the middle of the year and it was the last day of school. So then I sat there at the end, didn't know where I was still, figured out I was at school. All they did then was sent me, if you're hurting, just go and sit in reception, because my year went on to the field then, in class, to do like playing and stuff. Because my teacher was also a PE teacher, so that was a bonus. Shane was a wanker. So then I was sat there in reception, Ed, proper killing. Didn't know where I was. They made me stay there till the end of the day. At this point, I used to walk home on my own. Age 10, in the 90s, you could do that. So they're just like, yeah, see you later, and sent me out the door on my own. Rough as fuck. Still aren't really quite sure what was happening. So I've started walking home. Anyhow, my head's hurting. I can barely walk. Every step, my head's just pounding. Cheers for all your help there, school. I've been walking down that alley because the Oakfield is right next to Arden Hill, my little school and my middle school. So I was walking down the alley from my other story. I got to the first step on the train bridge, and I was like, oh, my head's hurting, I'm just going to sit down for a minute. I put my head in my hands, just like, oh, I can't go on. And then my next door neighbour's mum walked past, was like, oh, what's happened, you alright? She held my hand and walked me home, made sure I got home safe. So she was the first caring person I'd seen all day since it happened. Like, yeah, she's my next door neighbour, so I did know her. I weren't walking home with a stranger. No stranger danger. I got home, went to bed. I think I went to sleep, like, it probably shouldn't have let me go to sleep because of concussion and all, but I think I went to sleep. I think I may have just woke up the next day. And since that day, I've had headaches and migraines really bad for pretty much the rest of my life. It's not like every day, but some weeks I could have like 2 or 3 a week. Other times I can go a couple of months without even having an headache. But if you don't get migraines, then you probably won't understand. A migraine is so much more than an headache. It's just horrible. You feel sick, nausea, everything starts spinning. If you've ever had a whitey, it's like that but worse. The stuff goes black, light hurts your eyes. It's not good. And all that was from that day in year 5. Thanks a lot, teachers, for that. Big help you was there. Honest to God, not. Wankers. But, yeah, I doubt they'll get away with that these days. So, times are like changing for the better, for the worse, a bit of both. Kids are becoming menaces, but they're also not allowed to do a lot of the stuff there was. A lot of the stuff I was when I was growing up. Like you're gonna let a 10-year-old kid walk home on his own these days, year 5. I think I started walking home from school on my own when I went up to year 3, I think, year 4. Well, I think what it was my mum and dad were like, well, you've already been walking around on your own, skiving school. Why ain't paying for someone to walk you no more? You might as well just walk yourself to school. And I did. And I got there every day. Had someone walking to me school. I ended up skiving. Walk on my own, I turned up every day. Well, like I said in my last video, till I got a bit older. Went to the high school. Then that's where I started getting really naughty. As I was saying, this video is about bad teachers, and that was my first encounter with a bad teacher. It's a shame really, because I can remember him as a really good teacher as well. Some of the lessons he had were really good. Every other occasions I've ever had with this teacher was good. It's just this one occasion, it's bad enough to turn a good teacher into one of the worst fucking teachers in the whole world. It's like, I was 10. You told me to go fuck myself. After I'd been knocked out, didn't know where I was. I didn't know who you was. didn't even know I was talking to a teacher sat at school, and you couldn't pick up on that as a first aider or a teacher. I think you need a new profession, mate. Anyway, so my little and middle school, that was pretty much the only bad encounter I had with a teacher. It was a bad one, but like I said, other than that, he was a good teacher, and all my other teachers up until high school were good. Once I started getting to high school, that's where you start getting the bad teachers. Because at little school works and middle school, you have your teacher, he teaches you everything all day. You go in, your first lesson's with him, every lesson in between's with him, your last lesson's with him, or her, should I say. Not all teachers are blokes. A lot of teachers are women, if not there's more women. But you have all that, and then you move to high school, and then you get your first period with one teacher. You have 6 different lessons a day, 6 different teachers, or you get doubles lessons and so on. But so when you get to the high school, you're having a lot more teachers than you were at the other schools. So I think that's why you find a lot more of the shitter ones. There was teachers at my high school that just had no control whatsoever. That they didn't know what they were doing, and then there was teachers that had control, but then were just too strict, and it didn't work out for them. Like a too controlling teacher was Mr. Harris. He was my woodwork teacher. He tried to put his foot down, but because of that, everyone just told him to fuck off. He ended up with less control than, but he really did try. I did do some of my work in his lessons, but not much. My coursework, woodwork, it's meant to be, your paperwork's meant to be like a big thick, I don't know, like 100 pages. I did like 1 page of coursework, one side, not on even double-sided. So I did 1 A4 sheet of paper for my coursework. I built a drawing table for writing, like drawing on it. It folded up so you could get a nice angle. But I built the frame, built the top work, and that was it. I didn't complete that. So for my pictures, we propped took a picture with the top down, and then propped the picture up with a bit of wood and took the picture from the right angle so you couldn't tell. For that as well, because I'm not the quickest at reading. I'm good at maths, but I can read. It just takes me a bit longer, so I got extra time for my exams. And for woodwork, I was the only person to get extra time in that exam. So I was sat in a room on my own with a teacher. This is a good one, but I won't tell her name out because she probably shouldn't have done this, but she didn't have to, I was meant to just get extra time, but she read the questions for me, writ the answers, but then I was telling her the answers, and she was writing that answer but rewording it for me, so it worked, and I ended up with a D in that subject. I think she really helped me there, or else my coursework's got to been low, really low. So that's my test has got boosted it up. So like I said, this is more about bad teachers, but she linked into this, and she was a really good teacher. Now I got to the high school. My worst teacher at the high school was probably my tutor for year 10 and 11. By this point, yeah, fair enough, I was getting bad. It did get a bit out of hand. My mum and dad were getting pissed off with me, keep getting stuff sent home. Teachers were getting pissed off with me. He was my tutor, I was doing his head in. I was doing his head in to the point where I did no work in his classes, barely turned up for them. When I did turn up, I used to disrupt the other class. He used to try and sit me off on my own. This one day, I was just being a cunt. Well, the teacher was a prick though, like Mr. Perry. He was a fucking paedophile. Like, you'd be sat there, and on the odd occasion, I would be doing my work, and then you're there like, well, I don't understand this. Sir, sir. And there used to be a group of girls sat on there used to be like a desk at the front. You could sit about 8 people on it, and there used to be a load of girls sit on that table. And he used to spend all that time at the table. You could throw stuff at him when he was speaking to them girls, and you would not get his attention. I've literally done it. And then I was disrupting and was shouted proper. He's flipped, like, get outside. I'm like, go fuck yourself. And he's like, grabbed my bag, chucked me outside. I've slid on my arse on the floor. I told the headmaster about this and told him I was not going back to that tutor. You either put me in a different tutor group or I'm not going into his lessons again. I had him for tutor in the morning, space, which is, I'm not sure what that was. I didn't listen to him, did I? So, but space, and then I also had him for physics. Well, I told the headmaster straight, he's done that to me. I'm not going to his lessons. You either put me in a different tutor or I'll just go to the lessons that I've not got with him. They was like, nah, we're not putting you in a different tutor. I was like, fine. Never went to his tutor again. Never got a thing said about it. Never went to physics. Nothing. Nowadays, you score with one lesson and your parents can get sent down for it pretty much. Well, after a build-up, but yeah, it's getting strict now. The amount of classes I scored when I was at school, it's unreal. I remember once I took my mum and dad into parents' evening. I hated taking to them. I used to try and hide the letters and stuff, but they found out. Parents' evening was on. They got booked in. I had to go with them. It didn't go well. For that, I got in trouble for this, that, and the other. But the funniest bit was he pulled up my attendance record. I had it out on a sheet, and you had a tick for there, present. An A for absent and an L for late. And because how I used to work it, I'd sussed it. Took brains. Well, it didn't take brains, but nobody else worked this out. I told my mate, he got on it. So what you used to do, you used to go into school, score with tutor, first lesson, second lesson, third lesson, go in at fourth lesson just before dinner, halfway through the lesson, go to reception, sign in as late, fourth lesson. Then you get a late mark for the morning, you was there. And then pretty much I used to do the other two, like period 5 and 6, and then you'd get attendance for the whole day, even though I'd been there less than half of the day, which was beast. Never got done, just got late marks. I could handle late marks. Absences, they started getting on your case. Late marks was sweet. Your teacher used to do his register in the classes. The very start of the day you got your main register, so I used to miss that one, sign in late at 4th, and then that would cover you for that main register. And then there used to be another main register after dinner. That's why I used to go to 5th. And then it used to vary on 6th period. I had PE sometimes, I'd go to that. If I had a double, it was kind of hard to get out of the 6th period, obviously, because I was there for the 5th and I couldn't just disappear. My teacher would be like, well. So if I had a double, then I used to do the 6th. But for 6th period, I used to pick my lessons, whether it's depending on whether it was good or not. I used to score with like the headmaster's lessons as well, because I had him for, what was it? It was science. It was biology. He used to score with his lessons as well. So yeah, is there any more really bad teachers? Oh, I know. This is another, he was a good teacher, but this incident's got to put him into the bad teacher category. Now, this story, it wasn't on me, it was on a different lad. And I think I was in year 7. It might have been 8, but I think it was year 7, so I'd have been about 11. And everyone else in my year is about 11, 12. And we was doing PE, it was rugby. And we had, at the start of rugby, before you play games and stuff, you have to do all your tackles, your little demonstrations, So the teacher has got one of my students to hold the pads. Like, I'll show you how to do it. You hold this pad. The student, like, yeah, sound. He's tackled him and snapped his leg clean in half. Like, he got sacked for that. That was, I can't remember that teacher's name. It was a PE teacher, Mr. What was it, Mr. Ripley? I'm not too sure anyway of his name, but yeah, he snapped my mate's leg clean in half, and my mate was quite an hard lad. I'd never seen him cry before this point. He was in tears. It looked like he was in agony. He obviously broke his leg, went to the hospital. Teacher got sacked, but it's a shame because he didn't mean to break his leg. I was there. It happened all in front of me. It was a complete accident. But yeah, I do get, you can't, if you're a teacher, you cannot break a kid's leg. You will get sacked for it. But it shows that the bad shit tends to happen to the good ones. Like, there's a few teachers, like Mr. Aldrich, I hated him. Why couldn't he have broke a kid's leg and got the sack? Nah, he was there for my whole 5 years at that school. He hated me, he was a prick. I never actually had him as the teacher, but he covered my lessons quite a lot. And he was just a wanker. One of my mates actually got on with him really well. I didn't. I don't know. He just used to look at me and have a go at me. So if you're going to be like that to me, I'll be like that to you. It's simple, whether you're a kid or not. Respect works both ways. You treat me like shit, I will treat you like shit. You be a nice person to me, then I will be the nicest person you have ever met. Upset me, and God help you. But I think that's the way it should be. No taking shit off people. But treat people how you want to be treated. It's not a bad thing in life, is it? There's another tale with Civ. We've had a couple of different stories on this one, but we had a topic, so it weren't just a story, it was topic based. I hope you've enjoyed it, finding out a bit more of the stuff that's happened to me growing up and in my past. So I will see you in the next one. RS Magnet Fishing. Like and subscribe.